Hi everyone, and welcome to the Practice Growth with Pras podcast. I'm your host, Pras Murthy, CFO and co-founder at Dr. Multimedia, where for the last 10 years I've been helping practices grow all across the country. We started this podcast so we could dive deeper into the issues around practice growth, from online marketing to the way you run your business. We know doctors are busy people and you don't have a lot of time to study these kinds of topics, so we're hoping this audio podcast makes it really easy to stay up to date with what's going around the country. We'll be interviewing top doctors, successful practice managers, and other experts in the field. Without further ado, let's get started. So today, we're going to dive into social media content. You know, the question we get all the time is, what do we post on social media? And not just what do we post, but how do we keep this going? You know, you can only post, if you're a dentist, you can only post about brushing your teeth so many times and flossing and smiles. And so people very quickly run out of interesting things to say, and then they start to feel pressure to sound interesting, and it all kinds of falls apart. And the page either is really boring, or it's not specific, or it's not interesting and engaging. So what do you do about your social media? How do you deal with this vast array of topics and stay focused? Well, one really great solution is to find a niche and really dive into it and make yourself well known for that reason. You know, I was just on Instagram last night scrolling through different pages all around the country. I always like to see what people are doing, what's effective, what makes me stop and think. And I had that exact moment. I ran across a great page, not a client of ours, called The Wedding Dermatologist. You know, and every time I say that, everybody looks up and is like, what are you talking about? But it's literally a page for a dermatologist whose specialty, at least on Instagram, is tips and techniques and procedures to get your skin looking as good as possible for your upcoming wedding. I just thought this was genius because it's so specific that now the question of what do I post on social media becomes a really easy one. You're going to be talking about weddings, dermatology procedures that relate to skin that you can do before a wedding, and it's going to provide you laser focus. And in today's world where there's so much content out there, people are posting everything all the time, what can be hard for a business is to stay focused, and it can also be hard to capture people's attention. You know, think of the number of dentists or the number of dermatologists out there making posts, and they're all talking about the same exact thing. So what's going to differentiate you? What's going to make you stand out from the crowd? Well, we've talked plenty about branding your personality, branding your practice, understanding what your brand is, and the wedding dermatologist took it one step further. They didn't just say, all right, we're going to brand ourselves as dermatologists. Like, let's pick a particular niche and really become experts in that. And hey, I bet anyone who has a wedding coming up is going to be kind of curious what they're saying and what advice they have to offer and what they can do for you. And you know, lo and behold, he's got over 5,000 followers. I'm sure they run a general dermatology practice, but at least on Instagram, at least on social media, they're focused. And I think if more of our clients and more of the people out there listening say, let's take a niche that we're passionate about and focus on that, then a lot of those questions that right now are confusing you or you don't know if you're answering correctly, start to answer themselves. So, you know, what could you post? What could you feature? What can you highlight? Well, if we've already laid out the groundwork of the wedding dermatologist, even without looking at his page anymore, the ideas will start flowing, right? Well, so first of all, you're going to feature weddings. Anytime you see wedding photos or wedding venues or things that are local where the bride or groom has great skin, that's something great to post, and everybody loves looking at attractive people on social media, so that's a really great place to start. Any before and after procedures that you've done, whether for a bride or groom or not, you could market and showcase those as something that someone could do before a wedding. Elective procedures, right? We're not talking about, you know, skin conditions that require a lifelong treatment or anything like that. What are little things you can do 6 months before, 3 months before, 1 week before, 1 day before your wedding that would help? Because everybody who's having a wedding is really concerned about looking their best and brightest on their wedding day. You know, we've all had that fear, you know, before a big event, pimple shows up the night before. I think the third post on that Instagram page was how to properly pop a pimple, which is really relevant information if you're worried about an event and how you look and things that you can't control, like your skin. But not just that, skincare techniques. If you're traveling for your wedding, what should you take into account? If you're going to be in a dry climate, if you're going to be in a wet climate, if you're going to be in a hot climate, cold climate, you can see how the list goes on and on and on, all without straying from this very specific, singularly focused topic. And then that opens the doors for whatever a dermatologist might want to talk about. There's a particular procedure you want to promote online? Great. How can you tie it into the idea of someone preparing for their wedding? New technology, super successful stories, great patients, all of those things you can tie into there. Plus, I don't know how well they thought this out and how carefully crafted it was, but even if it was accidental, the wedding industry is enormous. So now they're tapping into an entirely unrelated, quote unquote, industry that has fantastic potential, and people are going to stop and take a look. So now they're attracting people that might want a dermatologist, people that might be having a wedding. Plus, right, it's just fun. They wouldn't have done that if it wasn't a passion of theirs, if it wasn't a passion of the doctors to help people, get ready for these big events. And obviously you're gonna steamroll from there and expand, and you can talk about any, major event. You could talk about graduations, you could talk about family vacations, Christmas photos. You can always tie those in, but you stay true to your core. Now, what's the other thing that does is it builds a very loyal following, because people on social media like knowing why they're following you. They like knowing what they're going to get from you. If you look at a lot of the major influencers out there, the people that are really popular in their industry, they're not posting about 100 different things. The best ones that I follow actually post about the same thing over and over and over again. Because you never know when someone's going to be looking at your page for the first time. You never know where someone is in the progression of consuming your content. Don't assume they've been with you from the beginning. In fact, if anything, assume that they've never seen another post or another video or another graphic that you've done, and think that every time you're putting it out there, it's a first impression, and build upon those first impressions to keep your current following interested and engaged as well, so they can see how you're improving over time. But you want to keep the message simple, because if your message and your mission are simple, then the posts and the content and what to do and what to feature and what to film become really, really easy and straightforward. And then it's not every day, every week you're sitting there, what do I do? What do I try? And you find yourself all over the map. The farther you go down that niche, the more and more of an expert you become. And as we all know on social media and online, once you become an expert and people trust you, it opens up all kinds of doors. It opens up sponsorships, it opens up partnerships, it opens up people from all across the country and the world reaching out to you. People on the other side of the world aren't going to need to reach out to one particular dermatologist, but hey, there could be people on the other side of the world that are having a wedding and come across your page and want to engage and leave a comment or ask you a question. And in that way, you can really spread the word. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is you need people to remember you. So just ask yourself, what are the odds that I, Pras, scrolling through my Instagram feed, would remember the name of a random practice? I must have looked at over 200 practices posts last night in like a half hour, right? I was just flipping through and tapping away when I saw something interesting. But the one that I came in today excited to talk to you about was the wedding dermatologist, and I still don't even know the name of the practice. And you know what? It doesn't really matter that I know the name of the practice. Unless they're in San Diego, I'm probably not going to go visit them anyways. So why know the name of the practice? This isn't going to help them when it comes to their branding and marketing. But 1,000 different reasons to be known as the wedding dermatologist, because look, it worked on me. And now, if he wanted to, he could run retargeting ads to people that are getting ready for their wedding. It's very easy to tell based on someone's search history and what they're looking for if they have a wedding coming up. It's shockingly easy. And if he really wanted to dive into social media advertising, he could retarget those people, he could run ads for those people, and then as a result, he would get in front of those people, and if he was selling a particular procedure, if he had some way of making money off of people that weren't in his immediate area, he's well set up, right? Whether it's a wedding kit that he's going to package together and sell, whether it's a treatment, whether it's, fly on in and get the best care for your wedding if you're anywhere in the region. But you can see the doors that something like that would open up. And all of this comes from deciding to be very specific and diving down in depth instead of trying to be really general and posting about your breath all the time. What you want to do is focus, and if you're having trouble figuring out what to post, what to do on a daily basis, weekly basis, go ahead and pick a specialty. Now, okay, not everyone can be the wedding dermatologist, right? And if you don't like brides and grooms, you probably shouldn't become the wedding dermatologist. So marry your passion with your practice. Take what it is that you love outside of work, and combine it with what you like to do at work or in your practice, and come up with the relationship between the two. In fact, you're probably uniquely qualified to talk about the intersection of those two topics. There's people way better than that doctor at talking about weddings, and there's probably doctors way better to talk about dermatology. I'd be pretty surprised, or at least in my mind, I'd be pretty surprised if there are people more qualified to talk about dermatology and weddings together than that one person. And where am I getting any of this information from? I don't have any qualifications. I don't have any success stories. I don't have any case studies. I'm merely making assumptions based on the behavior that I see, and I'm of course dissecting it at a level a little bit deeper than just someone casually looking through, but I'm looking at the why, and I can pull all of those assumptions. And if I'm pulling those assumptions logically, a lot more people are pulling those assumptions subconsciously, and they're just taking a look and they're getting interested, and most importantly, they're going to click the follow button, right? I clicked the follow button because I want to see what else they're going to come out with. Maybe I'm going to get great ideas for another vertical or another specialty. But the point was, take your passion or something that you uniquely love as a hobby, as a side activity, find where that intersects with what you're an expert in, your medical practice, and now you become a unique expert in the marriage of those two topics, and it's obviously gonna be what you want to talk about because it's how you spend your free time and it's how you spend your professional time. So why not, kind of share that with the world and see where that goes. You're gonna find other people that have those two common interests, and you're gonna build from there. And that's a way to specifically use social media to further branding and concepts and marketing that we talked about, and get your name out there and grow a following. And really, it's fun. You get to interact with the world, which is probably the number one thing that social media gives us, is the ability to interact with people all over the world who have our similar interests, and see what's going on. And not only will it be rewarding, it'll be fun, and most importantly, it's going to help your practice grow and give you social media marketing that you would never get otherwise. So start brainstorming, throw ideas out there, see which one captures you and your staff's attention and interest, and try it out. You can always change, you can always have multiple, but stay focused and have that laser kind of eye on your expertise, and most importantly, have fun with it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Practice Growth with Pras. I'm your host, Pras Murthy, and if you have any questions or comments, please visit us at drmultimedia.com. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're constantly sharing new content as part of our mission to take online marketing topics and make them relevant to your practice. And if you like what you heard, please tell a friend and leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Thanks so much for listening, and we can't wait to do it again.